which is the inability to visualize in your mind's eye. And I also have SDAM, which stands for severely deficient autobiographical memory, which means that I don't have memories that are in first person. I do have some videos up on both of those, and I'm going to continue to make more on this channel. But another topic that I want to talk about on this channel is whether or not I might possibly have autism. And honestly, guys, that is really, really weird to say. I feel like I've been wanting to make this video and then wanting to put it off all at the same time because it feels weird. It feels like, okay, you're 42. Shouldn't you know if you have autism? Like, isn't that something that somebody might have pointed out to you before now? Yeah, it's just, it feels really weird. But here's how we got here. So, I mean, to make a long story short, I've been a homeschool mom for my kids for the last 14 years, but we decided that we were going to enroll them in public school for many reasons. Well, once we started thinking about putting my two kids into public school, like, public school environment is going to be very hard for them. And then we thought about why. Why is this going to be so hard for them? And hard in a way, not because it's new and they've been homeschooling and they need to learn something new, but hard because, oh my gosh, they cringe anytime there's something too loud, and they get very, very anxious on new things. Like there's normal anxiety. A lot of people get normal anxiety and then you push through, you use the techniques that you learn, and then you do the thing. And then there's generalized anxiety disorder, where your anxiety causes you so much stress that you cannot form and perform and do the thing. That's where they are. And once we started to kind of like look at all these different things, we realized that a lot of the characteristics that we starting to list about why public school might be difficult for them all kind of fall under the category of autism. And it's like, are they autistic? And so we started talking to the pediatrician and their therapist, and it started to look very likely that both my kids might be autistic, and that as a homeschool mom, I just naturally accommodated all their needs. And this is common, especially for girls, because they're very, very good at masking, which means that you do everything you can to appear normal, not stand out, fit into society's expectations of you. So there is a very strong genetic component to autism. And as I've been learning more and more and more about what actually is autism and how it's not how the media portrays autism, I started to see myself. And there's so many women right now who are also getting adult diagnoses. And the reason why that is because up until recently, autism was diagnosed in boys way, way more than girls, because the research skewed towards males, because the early research on autism was only studied in boys. So, you know, long thing. Science is catching up to now that girls probably are just as likely to have autism than boys. Anyway, so again, do I have autism? I don't know. We are meeting with the kids psychologist on Tuesday. So that's one reason why I wanted to go ahead and make this video before I even got their official diagnosis. And after we get theirs, and at this point, so in the autism community, there is a very, very high imposter syndrome, where people will even get formal diagnoses and then doubt whether or not it's true. So that's really weird. I think it's because it is, like, it's my life. It's how I've always lived, and I've tried to fit in. And so if I am autistic, like, I can see how people would question the diagnosis, because a lot of the things that are autism, other neurotypical people have these, but it's when you start stacking the list and it gets longer and longer, then that's kind of where autism falls into, and the severity of the things. Also, a lot of autism is hyper and hypo. So my kids are hypersensitive to noises, while a lot of times I think that's part of my masking. I have taught myself how to tune out, and I will hyper focus on one thing so that I can tune everything else out in the world. But sharp, loud noises really, really, really bother me. Cannot stand like when my dog just barks out of nowhere. It physically causes me pain. So every time he barks, I'm like yelling at him to be quiet. You know, it's dog, and that's like part of what he should do. Anyway, another autism trait is wanting to figure things out and having lots and lots of lists of things. And over the last couple of days, I have been writing down a list on my phone every time I come across an autistic trait that fits me. And so I'm up to like 41. That's crazy. So yeah, I don't know. So there's two reasons why I want to pursue a formal diagnosis. One, because I like finding out about myself. So with my aphantasia and my SDAM, those actually aren't formal diagnoses yet. They are not in the DSM, which is the book of mental disorders. They're still being researched, and they're very, very easy to diagnose. With aphantasia, you can think about an apple and visualize it, or you can't. I cannot see images in my brain. Like, that's the definition of aphantasia. And if you can see an apple when you think about one, then you don't have aphantasia. With SDAM, it's a little bit more tricky because trying to understand how memories work and how memories work on other people has been a little bit hard for me, because I've always known I've had a bad memory, but you know, other people complain about having bad memories sometimes, but then I'm like, no, but you don't understand. I really have a bad memory. Like, I literally don't have memories of things in my childhood. So I have like lists and facts, and like, I know this might have happened, but I can't put myself back into those memories and recall them and relive them and have any emotional ties to them. So that's why I've kind of come to the self-diagnosis of SDAM. But again, there is no formal diagnosis for that. So I do want to get an autistic diagnosis just because, one, I would like to know. It would help me make my life make sense, because there are so many things, and I don't want to start crying, but there's so many things that if I'd be like, oh, that happened because I'm autistic, especially with the social. I'm a very extroverted person, which a lot of times is not tied to autism. But does not mean you can't have autism. But I'm always wanting those social connections, and I have a hard time. Like, I'm pretty good at making friends. I'm not so good at keeping friends. So, which, you know, isn't lovely and fun to say to all the internet, but it's true. And if I could look back and go, oh, it's because of autism, it's not that I want to use autism as an excuse, but as a tool to understand, oh, okay, this is what I'm doing that may be causing it harder for me to connect with people, or maybe I've been choosing the wrong people to connect with. One thing I have learned in the autism community is that a lot of autism people find other autism people or other neurodivergent people, and we like hanging out with each other. I love things to be very, very plainly spoken and literal. And when people are wishy-washy or not direct, it drives me crazy, because I'm like, wait, no, just what do you mean? What do you mean? I cannot understand innuendo. So just, anyway. Oh yeah, the second reason I want to get a formal diagnosis, because if I am autistic, I want my data to go into the research so that it will help other women and future girls to be able to get a diagnosis. I was lucky. I was able to get my way through school without needing accommodations. But now looking back, you know, maybe I would have had a more enriched experience if I had known that I was autistic. I know that I flew under the radar as much as possible because one of the things, anything new causes me extreme anxiety. And so I would avoid new things to just not have that anxiety. And if there had been ways to kind of like combat that and get my questions answered, like I am good at doing new things if I can ask 50 questions about it so it doesn't feel new anymore. So, you know, growing up, if I had been able to explain that and say, hey, I want to do this new thing, but I literally need all of the minute details to feel comfortable to do it, you know, that would have been an accommodation. That would have been so helpful for me. A lot of times the information's out there, but just trying to get it, you know? Anyway, talking ad nauseum about a subject is also an autistic trait, and that is something that many people have told me my entire life, that I can go on and on and on and on about a subject. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. I probably will go ahead and talk about some more of these traits that are on my really long list over the course of some future videos. But if I just want you to leave some comments. Tell me if you're a late diagnosed autistic woman, especially, or, you know, male too. If you have autistic children that you diagnosed later, you know, we're just finding all of this out at 14. Yeah, I'm here to connect. Definitely feel like I'm part of the neurodivergent community, and I'm just trying to find out where I fit into that piece. Again, thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me. And until the next video, bye.